Scottie Scheffler sitting this one out. Patrick, do you think this is the right move for him to maybe prioritize those major championships over some of these signature events and be sitting out some of these signature events at this point of his career?
I do, and this has never been a golf tournament that Scottie Scheffler has played in his career. The first time he played Quail Hollow was in last year's PGA Championship. Well, technically the first time he played it was in the President's Cup, but the first time playing in a stroke play event was the PGA Championship. And for Scheffler, he wants to play the Texas events as well after the PGA Championship. So you think about the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson, where he has to defend, as well as Colonial and the Charles Schwab Challenge, which is a tournament he really wants to win.
They put the pins on some of the high points, and so your scores are definitely going to be lower if you hit the ball in the fairway, but it's still, I mean, it's really, really difficult to make birdies. You know, you hit some really nice iron shots in there to 10, 15 feet, and then you got putts with a ton of break on them. And so the golf course, especially on the greens, I think is quite challenging.
Up to Patrick on 3.
Hi, Scottie. I know they don't give out prizes after one round, but given all you've achieved in the sport, how does it leave you feeling the fact that you, for the first time ever, you have the lead or a share of the lead after one round at a major? How do you feel?
The PGA Tour's most expensive idea is falling apart in real time, and the world #1 just made it official. This is not about one player missing one tournament. This is about $20 million signature events, 8 of them, designed to force the best against the best, and in 3 consecutive events between the Masters and the PGA Championship. Golf's top 2 players have never once shared the same field. Not one time. 3 events, 0 overlap. Sponsors writing 8-figure checks, fans buying tickets, and the 2 men every single one of those checks was written to attract are never on the same course at the same time. Honestly, I think the PGA Tour just proved that its signature event model is broken, and Brian Rolap is standing at a podium promising to double down on the exact thing that isn't working. Is Scheffler skipping this tournament a player exercising his rights? Or is it a 4-time major champion sending a message the tour refuses to hear? Drop it in the comments right now. And if you want the full breakdown of what this scheduling disaster means for Rolap's entire vision of the tour's future, subscribe, because what comes next is going to shock you.
Let's establish exactly what the signature events were supposed to be. When the PGA Tour introduced the signature event model, the pitch was simple. The problem with professional golf was that the best players didn't play together enough. Fans were watching $8 million events where the world #1 didn't show up. Sponsors were writing big checks for fields that looked like regional qualifiers. The answer was 8 premium events, $20 million each, with limited fields, 72 players, and no 36-hole cut. Guaranteed money, guaranteed stars, best against best every single time. That was the promise. That was the product the tour sold to Truist, to Cadillac, to RBC, to every title sponsor who put their name on one of these events. Brian Rolap is the PGA Tour's new CEO, former NFL executive, appointed last June. In March 2026, he stood up at the Players' Championship and delivered his first State of the Tour address. He was direct, he was ambitious, and his central vision for the PGA Tour's future was unambiguous. The signature event model is the foundation. He wants to double the number of them, from 8 to somewhere between 16 and 21, and build the entire competitive structure of the tour around it. In his own words from his open letter to fans, "Today we have 8 signature events. We are effectively looking to at least double that number." He also said, "The sports business is not that hard. Just think like a fan, and 9.5 times out of 10, that's probably the right answer." Thinking like a fan, that is Brian Rolap's philosophy. Here is what a fan thinks when they buy a ticket to the Truist Championship at Quail Hollow. They think Scottie Scheffler will be there. He will not. He will not. Scheffler confirmed he is skipping the Truist Championship, the 6th of 8 signature events this season, the $20 million event at Quail Hollow Club, the venue where the PGA Championship will return in just 1 week. His reason, according to golf journalist Sean Zach, who broke the news, is simple. Scheffler takes the week before a major to practice and recharge at home. He does this every major. He has always done this. It is not controversial. It is completely rational. It is entirely predictable. Which is exactly why the fact that the PGA Tour scheduled a $20 million signature event in that exact window is so damning. This was not a surprise. The calendar was published months ago. The pattern was visible to anyone who looked. And yet here we are. 3 signature events between the Masters and the PGA Championship, and golf's 2 biggest stars are never in the same one. Sean Zach is a staff writer at Golf Magazine. Not a rumor merchant, not a drama account. A working golf journalist. And on April 26, 2026, he posted something on X that stopped every serious golf observer in their tracks. He wrote, "One problem the PGA Tour needs to solve. 3 signature events between Masters and PGA Champ. 0 featuring both Rory McIlroy and Scottie Scheffler. Hilton Head, RBC Heritage, Rory out, Scottie in. Doral, Cadillac Championship, Rory out, Scottie in. Quail Hollow, Truist, Rory in, Scottie out." Read that out loud, slowly. The RBC Heritage, Scheffler plays, McIlroy absent. The Cadillac Championship at Trump Doral, Scheffler plays, McIlroy absent. The Truist Championship at Quail Hollow, McIlroy plays, Scheffler absent. 3 events, $60 million in combined prize money, 0 shared appearances, 0. Not once did the tour's 2 biggest commercial properties appear on the same leaderboard. Imagine you are a title sponsor. You write a check for $20 million to put your name on one of these events. You are told this is the model, the best players together in a premium product. You sign the contract. You build the marketing campaign around the stars. You print the branding. You finalize the activation budget. And then the field comes out and you find out that either the world number 1 or the world number 2, never both, will actually be competing in your event. What do? You call your PR team, and then you call your lawyers. Now let's talk about Rory McIlroy specifically, because his situation at the Cadillac Championship deserves its own examination. McIlroy is the back-to-back Masters champion, the 6-time major winner, world number 2. He is, alongside Scheffler, the single most commercially valuable player on the PGA Tour right now. And at the Cadillac Championship, the new signature event at Trump National Doral, making its return to the tour calendar for the first time in a decade, McIlroy was absent. This made it the 2nd consecutive signature event he had skipped. According to reporting from multiple outlets, McIlroy has indicated he intends to be more selective about which events he plays in 2026. After winning his 2nd straight Masters title in April, he told reporters, "I think different, the schedule between events. Different. Yeah. I said at the start of the weekend here I felt like the Grand Slam was the destination, and I realized it wasn't. I'm on this journey to, I don't know. I just won my 6th major, and I feel like I'm in a really good spot with my game and my body." He is not burned out. He is not injured. He is the reigning Masters champion, publicly saying he will be more selective. The PGA Tour built the signature event model to make stars like McIlroy feel obligated to show up. It built $20 million purses and guaranteed money and limited fields specifically to ensure that the players had enough financial incentive to be present. And the tour's most recognizable face looked at $20 million events at Trump Doral and Hilton Head and said no thanks, twice, in back-to-back weeks. Is Rory McIlroy obligated to play in every signature event? Or does a 6-time major champion at the age of 36, at the peak of his career, have the absolute right to manage his own schedule? And if the answer is yes, he has that right, then what exactly is the signature event model for? Is Scheffler skipping the Truist Championship a reasonable preparation decision? Or is it proof that the PGA Tour's $20 million events were never as mandatory as the tour pretended they would be? And should the tour fine players who skip? Or would that make this entire problem 10 times worse? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one.
Now here is the part nobody is fully connecting. And this is the angle that reframes everything you've just heard. At the Cadillac Championship at Trump National Doral, 5 of the top 15 ranked players in the world were absent. Not there. Missing from a 72-man limited field $20 million signature event. McIlroy at number 2. Matt Fitzpatrick at number 3, who, it should be noted, had just won back-to-back PGA Tour events and chose to take a week off. Xander Schauffele at number 9. Robert McIntyre at number 12. Ludwig Aberg at number 14. According to Yahoo Sports and Front Office Sports, this marked the largest absence of top players at a signature event so far in the 2026 season. The winner of the Cadillac Championship would receive $3.6 million. Last place in a no-cut event received $36,000, guaranteed money, no cut, best possible conditions for participation. And still, 5 of the top 15 didn't come. Here is the number that should be printed on a poster and hung in every PGA Tour boardroom. At the Cadillac Championship, a $20 million signature event with no cut and guaranteed prize money for every player in the field, 41.6% of the top 15 players in the world chose not to participate. Not because they were injured, not because they were suspended, because they simply decided not to come. The model was designed specifically to prevent this. The whole point of the elevated purse, the limited field, the no-cut format was to make participation so attractive that the tour's biggest stars would show up. And they didn't. Now here's the part nobody is talking about. Brian Rolop stood at a podium in March 2026 and told the world his solution to the tour's competitive problems is to double the number of signature events, from 8 to potentially 21 or 26 events in a restructured first-track model. His vision, as reported by CBS Sports and ESPN, is to build a promotion and relegation system where the top players compete in these elevated events and a second tier of players tries to work their way up. The entire model is built on the assumption that the top players will actually show up. But the current 8-event model, which has lower stakes and fewer scheduling conflicts than Rolop's proposed expansion, cannot get the world's top 2 players in the same field for 3 consecutive events between the first 2 majors of the year. You are Brian Rolop. You were appointed CEO of the PGA Tour last June. You spent 8 months building a plan. You met with Tiger Woods more than 30 times in committee. You published an open letter to fans. You stood at the players and delivered a State of the Tour address. Your central promise is that you are going to double down on bringing the best players together more often. And while you are delivering that speech, the 2 biggest stars on your tour are already rotating around each other in the schedule like 2 magnets that can't align. If 8 signature events can't fix this problem, what does doubling to 21 events actually solve? The problem isn't the number of events. The problem is the calendar. 3 signature events crammed between the Masters and the PGA Championship means every top player is making the same rational calculation. I need rest before the major. I can't play all 3. Which one do I skip? And the answer is always different, which means the overlap between the top 2 players in the world is exactly 0. Rolop wants to think like a fan. Fans want Scheffler and McIlroy on the same leaderboard. Right now, his own schedule is making that impossible.
But before you write off the entire signature event concept, here is where the argument gets genuinely complicated. Justin Thomas is a 2-time major champion, a former world number 1, one of the most respected voices on the PGA Tour when it comes to competitive structure. He is not a contrarian. He is not someone who defends the establishment for the sake of it. And Thomas, speaking about the bunched schedule and the Doral event, said something that deserves a fair hearing. According to Sports Illustrated, he acknowledged the tension in the schedule directly. He said, "I go back and forth on that. I'm a believer in the sense of all of us playing in all these events is kind of the purpose of them." He then went further. "I like the fact that the tour is looking at it in the sense of, here we are, this is what we have this year, and we're just going to keep trying to change it for the better and better, and so on and so forth, as opposed to just putting it off until however many years until we feel like we have the perfect model." Justin Thomas is right that iteration is better than paralysis. He is right that doing something imperfect now is better than doing nothing while waiting for perfection. The tour added Trump Doral back to the calendar, created a new marquee event, and expanded the signature event footprint. That is not nothing. And on the McIlroy situation specifically, Michael Kim, a PGA Tour player and one of the most active voices on X in professional golf, offered a read on McIlroy's skips that cuts through the noise. He posted, "I hope to get to a point where I decide to skip a signature event even when healthy." That is a player acknowledging that McIlroy has earned the right. That is not criticism. That is admiration wrapped in frustration. But here is what even Justin Thomas's defense cannot answer. The tour is not asking Thomas to carry its commercial product. It is asking Scheffler and McIlroy, and neither of them can be compelled to show up because, and this is the critical fact, players do not get fined for missing signature events. There is no penalty. There is no mechanism. There is only financial incentive. And when the world's 2 most commercially valuable players choose rest in preparation over $20 million events, the incentive alone is not enough. Rolop said, and I want to be precise here, that meritocracy is our greatest strength, but a meritocracy requires the meritocrats to show up. Right now, the scheduling architecture the PGA Tour built is producing a result where merit-based participation is being actively undermined by the calendar the tour itself designed. Should Scheffler and McIlroy face any kind of consequence for skipping signature events? Financial penalty, ranking points, anything? Or is that a line the tour should never cross? And if there's no mechanism to enforce participation, was the signature event model ever actually a real solution? Be honest. Drop it below. Here is why the timing of all of this is about to get dramatically worse. The Travelers Championship, the 8th and final signature event of the 2026 season, is scheduled for June 25th to June 28th. That is 1 week after the US Open at Oakmont, which runs June 12th to 15. 1 week. a $20 million signature event 1 week after the US Open. Consider the pattern. Scheffler's stated reason for skipping the Truist Championship is that he takes the week before a major to rest and prepare. That is one event impacted by major proximity. The Travelers Championship comes 1 week after a major, not before, which means players coming off the physical and mental drain of a US Open at Oakmont will be asked to immediately turn around and play in an elite field high-pressure event. Meanwhile, as Golf Magic noted, there are no signature events at all around the Open Championship in July. The 8th and most profitable signature event of the year sits directly in the most exhausting week on the tour calendar, immediately post-major. No buffer, no rest window. Just, you finish the US Open on Sunday, be at the Travelers on Thursday. This is the same structural error the tour made with the Truist Championship. The PGA Tour has known since at least 2024 that players need space around major championships. Scheffler skipping the week before the PGA Championship is not a surprise. It is a documented, predictable, annually repeating behavior. The tour has had years to address this scheduling logic. It has not. When Tiger Woods was at his peak in 2000, he played the Western Open the week after the US Open. He then won the Open Championship 2 weeks later, but that was a different era, a different player, and a different body. The current generation of elite players manages schedules with a precision the tour's calendar structure still hasn't caught up to. The Travelers Championship sponsor deserves better. The fans buying those tickets deserve better.
Here is what this is actually about. And this is the conversation nobody in golf media is willing to have directly. The PGA Tour created the signature event model to solve a specific problem. The best players were not competing against each other often enough. 8 elevated events, $20 million each, limited fields, no cuts. Best against best. That was the theory. The practice is 3 consecutive signature events where the world's 2 biggest stars are never on the same course. 5 of the top 15 players missing a single event at once. A new CEO promising to double down on the same model while the current version fails its basic test. The signature event model was not designed for the calendar it was placed inside. The design of the events is fine. The purses are right. The no-cut format is fine. Limited field is fine. The problem is placement, and placement is a scheduling decision, which is an organizational decision, which is a decision made in a boardroom by people who are building around media contracts and sponsor commitments, not around what elite athletes actually need to perform and participate. The NFL, the league Brian Rolap comes from, learned this lesson in the 1990s. You can create premium products. You can build marquee matchups. You can put the biggest names on the biggest stages. But if the schedule architecture works against participation, the product suffers, regardless of how much money you attach to it. The NFL solved it by building its entire scheduling model around player availability and marquee matchup creation. The PGA Tour is doing the opposite, building events and hoping the players fit around them. Rolap said something at the players that every person in that boardroom should have written on the wall. He said, "Just think like a fan." A fan wants Scheffler and McIlroy on the same leaderboard. The tour's own calendar has made that impossible 3 times in a row. That is not a scheduling inconvenience. That is a product failure. And the man who promised to double the number of signature events has not yet explained how he plans to fix the fundamental scheduling logic that is producing this result. Is Brian Rolap building the best version of the PGA Tour? Or is he doubling down on a model that is already proving it can't deliver what it promised? And does it matter that the intent is good if the schedule keeps producing this outcome? Drop your answer right now. Here is what happens next, and there is one specific moment that will determine everything. The Travelers Championship at the end of June, 1 week after the US Open, $20 million, signature event, the final one of the year. If Scheffler and McIlroy both show up, exhausted, post-major, with the Open Championship just 3 weeks away, the tour gets its headline, best against best. The model works, sponsors breathe. If one or both of them skip, citing fatigue or major preparation, the pattern becomes undeniable. 3 events between the Masters and PGA Championship, 0 shared appearances. Then the post-US Open event, another potential no-show. At some point, a pattern stops being a coincidence and starts being a policy problem. Here is the final verdict, and I mean this clearly. Brian Rolap is not a bad actor. He inherited a broken scheduling model, a fragile sponsor ecosystem, and a player base that has watched the tour make structural promises it cannot keep. He is trying to fix it. His instincts about meritocracy and bringing the best together are correct. But you cannot fix a scheduling problem by doubling the number of events built on the same broken calendar logic. You can have 21 signature events and still not have Scheffler and McIlroy on the same leaderboard if the placement is wrong.
The model is the message, and right now the message is that the PGA Tour is still building around its calendar, instead of building its calendar around its players. If you want the inside story on what Roll-App's two-tier model means for every player trying to keep their tour card, and which stars are already positioning themselves ahead of the 2027 restructure, subscribe, because the decisions being made right now are going to reshape professional golf for the next decade, and this story is not over.